everyone, I'm Mr. Smith. It's Friday, Paraskevi, and today we're looking at our third video on tandebuli endings in Georgian. This video looks at "შესახებ", which means what something is about, and "შემდეგ", which means after, later, or next. Both of these are in the genitive case, so they are structured and combined in a very similar way. So, if you're ready, let's go. Let's start with my Instagram posters, and on the left, "შესახებ", and on the right, "შემდეგ". And as you can see, optically they are, and also sonically, they're rather similar. They're both tandebuli, and they are used on genitive nouns. So they're kind of sisters from the same mister, brothers from another mother. And so, unlike the ones we studied last week, we don't attach them to the noun. They just immediately come after. They sort of float on after. This one means about. This one means later. In this case, of course, we're going to look at this poster. All about my mother. That's the name of the poster. Vis შესახება. That's who it's about. Indeed, I can make that into simply a question. Vis შესახება. Who is it about? And you're going to say, ყველაფერი დედაჩემის შესახებ. ყველაფერი დედაჩემი leaves us hanging. It's all my mother, no? So we want to bring that together, don't we? So we're going to use a tandebuli, we're going to use it in the genitive, and then it reads logically in Georgian. It's on my mother as well. What is the meeting about? What is the meeting on? You know? ყველაფერი დედაჩემის შესახებ. That's the Georgian translation of this movie. We're going to be looking at, of course, pronouns. Chem შესახება. It's not about my mother. It's chem შესახება. It's about me. Paying attention here to the use of these. And then just as an extra note, you can use chemze. Ze is a preposition from a different case in our case system, which achieves a very similar result. The main element here is, for many people, they believe that შესახებ is just simply a little bit more broad and more academic. And then on is just simply a real literature translation of what it's about, you know? Some people see it more domestic to use ze and easier grammatically. It really isn't easier. But they're synonyms, and so that's why it's on the page. And then we've got შემდეგ. And of course, here we've got a poster from a very famous TV series, really. Shua Kalakshi, which was a very popular TV show, and all of the celebrities became household names. 10 years later, and that's what we're looking at here, they did another round. Ati Tzlis Shemdeg was that new title. It was 10 years later. The previous series ended, and then they reunited. So Ati Tzlis Shemdeg. Shemdeg, of course, as you can see, works really well with numbers and dates and times. 4 weeks later, 6 minutes later, 11 minutes later. You really need to know your numbers, but as long as they're in this genitive case, then you're good. Just add it. And you can see here that it's not stitched onto the word. So it's one of the functions of shemdeg. Here we've got the question, chemi jeri rodisa. When is my turn? Rodis, when is my turn? Jeri is my turn. And I'm logically inviting you to say mis shemdeg. It's after him, here at the bottom. Mat shemdeg. It's after them. I'm kind of imagining either you're playing a board game, or indeed you're in a queue, in a line, and you're saying, when's my turn? And they say, mis shemdeg, after him, mat shemdeg, after them. Again, paying attention to the pronouns here so that we can use them both. But as you can see, they both optically look rather similar. They function in a very similar way. They both have different meanings, except for this one, of course, which has a synonym, but it really is easy to follow when we look at some examples. Slide 1, and it's all about us, ჩვენ შესახებ. And here, when we use pronouns, very similar to the previous video, the natural tendency to add the s, because the genitive s is Nათესობითი ჩემს. But with pronouns, it's a rule, you don't say it. You just kind of know it. So when it's about me, ჩემ შესახებ. It's about us, ჩვენ შესახებ. It's about you, შენ შესახებ, თქვენ შესახებ, or as a group, თქვენ შესახებ. Mis შესახებ, it's about him. Mat შესახებ, it's about them. We know that this Nათესობითი appears when there is a concrete third-person referent. Like my mother, deda chemis, right? But you can see here what's rather interesting is that you would not say, and many Georgians kind of get tripped up on this too, chems შესახებ sounds kind of okay to them. It sounds okay to me. Shen შესახებ, you know, kind of add it, don't add it, kind of like Georgians doubting a little bit of their correct grammar use. And then mis შესახებ, they know concretely is wrong. So what happens, I think, what I really understand is that because the third person actually uses as a reference this S, it kind of unpicks itself when it comes to here. Mat შესახებ is a struggle. So I think a native Georgian speaker would realize at this stage that they got these wrong. But for us, it's just important for us to know how it's done from the beginning. Shemdeg, okay, I looked at that other question in terms of who's next, right? So this is an icon here saying like, who's next? Mirodis var. When am I next? You know, Shemdegi is a word used in Georgian for the next person. Shemdegi, mevar, Shemdegi, I'm the next person, right? So what if I ask, you know, Mirodis var, I ask you, who am I after? And they say, mat shemdeg, you're after them. Maybe we're in a market, you know, or you're after her. Mi shemdeg, you know, you're after that person there. It's that kind of social thing where you just want to know who's next, right? So what we've understood here then, we've got shemdeg meaning then, we've got it meaning after, we've got it meaning later, and in this kind of way, it means next. And so just remember that we're going to be looking at them independently. So we're going to become experts at შესახებ, and then we're going to become experts at shemdeg, and then we're just going to bring it all together and then compare and contrast at the end. Slide 2 deals with that synonymous relationship with tandebuli შესახებ and tandebuli ze. Here, შესახებ is in the genitive, so it's one family of tandebuli, and ze actually is in a completely different group. It's mitsemiti brunva, dative brunva. We will do all of them in a separate series. But the outcome is very similar, isn't it? Between ris შესახება, წიგნი ჩემ შესახება. Razea, here's that question here. Razea, წიგნი ჩემზეა. The book is on me, about me. In fact, there's nothing to restrict you from hearing razea and then answering წიგნი ჩემ შესახება. There's nothing to restrict you hearing ris შესახება, vis შესახება. წიგნი ჩემზეა. The book is about me. So they can flip over. Just you need to know that they're in a different case. That's all. Because they're both tandebuli. Here I thought I would give another example. So there are 2 YouTube videos about childbirth, on childbirth, and seeing that difference between on and about. So, ori YouTube's video umshobiarobis შესახებ. Umshobiarobis შესახებ, or anu umshobiarobzeya. Umshobiarobzeya. On childbirth. The next one, ris შესახება, lexia, omis შესახება. I'm missing an A. Oops. But lexia omis შესახება. The lesson is about war. What is the lesson on? Razea. Omzeya. Omzeya. So you can see here that the meaning on the right, the meaning on the left did not diverge. But naturally, I changed my use in English. I thought it was much more natural, შესახებ, giving birth, and then childbirth was more natural with tandebuli ze. So again, whatever your native language is, you have to follow your intuition, I think, when it comes down to it. And for me also, ommi შესახებ is kind of easier than omzeya, seeming a little bit to me too short. But that's just my preference, you know? But like I said, different cases, similar outcomes, a little bit of intuition, and there shouldn't be any breakdown in meaning. Slide 3, now that we've understood that, let's look at building some examples. We've got 5 to look at. The main concept is very similar to other classes. If the noun listed in the dictionary ends in a consonant, naturally taking an I, then we add an S. Technically, we're adding is, because if it ends in a, o, u, and e, then likewise we'll lose that vowel. So if it's about the university, Nº5-შესახებ. If it's about the war, Nº5-შესახებ. Looking here at these examples. If it's about the presentation, presentaties-შესახებ. So just imagine that I want to do a Zoom call with you. I want to do a Zoom call, and you say, well, რის-შესახება. What's it about, the Zoom call that you want? Presentaties-შესახება. It's about the presentation. I think we need to talk about that. And that's concretely what we're going to talk about. So you can see how we build those up. Shekhvedris-შესახებ, it's about the meeting. Saubris-შესახებ, it's about the talk. Whatever it is, we can build them following exactly the same structure. The reason why I chose these examples because they're so easy to change with shemdeg, which is obviously coming up next. So, Nº5-შემდეგ, think about it. It means after university, kind of, sort of after graduation. No, I assume that you graduated. Nº5-შემდეგ. Nº5-შემდეგ. After the war. Come on, I mean, that's what everybody's really thinking about. You know, Nº5-შემდეგ. After the war. Presentaties-შემდეგ. You've done the presentation after the presentation. Shekhvedris-შემდეგ. After the meeting. Saubris-შემდეგ. After the talk. So we can see here, although I wanted to focus on შესახებ, we can easily drag and drop the other tandebuli, number 5, to create clearly different outcomes, but following exactly the same structure. Slide 4, let's get to the heart of shemdeg. And I said it has a few meanings, but one occasion when it only means strictly after is when we have a verb, noun, or a gerund. So we could say, for example, after eating, we talked. In English, you could say that we talked after eating, and in Georgian, you can still produce those, but I find it a little easier this way. After jogging, we rested. After traveling, we slept. You and I. So let's take a look at those gerunds in their dictionary list. And now they're in this box because they are in the right case. Ჭამის შემდეგ ვისაუბრეთ. მე და შენ ჭამის შემდეგ ვისაუბრეთ. After eating, we talked. სირბლის შემდეგ დავისვენეთ. After jogging, we rested. მოგზაურობის შემდეგ დავიძინეთ. დავიძინეთ მე და შენ მოგზაურობის შემდეგ. თამაშის შემდეგ ვისადილეთ. თამაშის შემდეგ ვისადილეთ. After playing, whatever we played, we lunched. We had lunch. We ate in the afternoon. Vисадилет. Ჭხუბის შემდეგ. After the row, after we had a bit of a drama, შევრიგდით. შევრიგდით. მე და შენ შევრიგდით ჭხუბის შემდეგ. Okay? So here we find that the concrete definition of shemdeg is exactly the same as after. Word order comes into play. And these are some of the examples which I thought were more relative and natural to the native English ear too. Let's revisit our Instagram posters now that we have a solid understanding of those two tandebuli. So the first one on the left, ყველაფერი დედაჩემის შესახებ. ყველაფერი დედაჩემის შესახებ. It's all about my mother. 10 წლის შემდეგ. Take a number or a month or some kind of time reference. Put it into the genitive case. Shemdeg means later. 10 წლის შემდეგ. Just as a reminder, of course, we can use tandebuli ze. So, ვისაუბრეთ. ჩვენ ვისაუბრეთ დედაჩემზე. ჩვენ ვისაუბრეთ დედაჩემის შესახებ. Totally possible. And then just another example following this type of logic. ერთი კვირის შემდეგ. ერთი კვირის შემდეგ. 1 week later. The amount of options using this time reference and then later is rather large. So we won't really need to do a big list on it, but you can just see how it's constructed and where it separates from meaning after and later from an English language perspective. Slide 4, let's look at some real examples where you're going to see these tandebuli. So this is the most logical. Every website often contains about us, no, about me section. And similarly here, this is the Black Sea Arena. And here we find Nº5-შესახებ, about us. You click it and you get this. Vin vart ჩვენ, who are we? So by navigating using this tandebuli, you're going to learn about the arena and I guess the people that run it. Number 2 is a web page. The title in English here, but ყველაფერი შენ შესახებ, everything about you, right? It's a self-help blog, tells you all about yourself and your well-being. The final example I thought was really revealing because it's using შემდეგ. ცხოვრება ომის შემდეგ. ცხოვრება just means life. ომის შემდეგ, life after the war, concretely. What I thought was also revealing is that if we look very carefully here, ცხოვრებაზე could, in fact, imply that it's about life. So, ცხოვრების შესახებ. You could easily use both tandebuli in this title. The person who wrote it didn't want to, but ze here means შესახებ too. That's the last slide of today, and thank you very much. Next week, we're continuing our series with gamo and garashe. They mean because of something and without something, respectively. So, have a nice weekend, and I'll see you then. Bye.